Hey guys, so today I just wanted to sit down for a bit and just talk about where I'm at in life and how that's shaping up to move me to the next step. Originally this was supposed to be a journal entry. I just came home and I was feeling very motivated to get my journal entry in. It's one of the things I've been working on, about processing my emotions, or at least setting intentions so I'm a bit more responsible. And so I grabbed my camera and decided, why not make it a video? So yeah. So right now I want to talk about where I am mentally and a little bit emotionally and where I would like to be. So I've been focusing a lot on being more present. I spent a lot of my 20s kind of in survival mode, or just trying to figure out what the next day looks like. It was always short-term goals that were within a 12 to 24 hour time span, sometimes maybe a week. And now that I've kind of settled in life a little bit, I have been a bit more open to the idea of long-term goals. I'm doing pretty well and I feel like that's just where I'm at. So one of the things I wanted to do was just sit in my reality, not in my fantasies, not in my daydreams, not running from my responsibilities, just really just being more intentional about what that looks like. So I'm coming up on finishing my 20s. I'm about to enter my last year of my 20s, and I really feel like, though I don't feel like I should grieve my 20s, I feel like I should really make this time count. Not simply because, you know, it's the end of like my 20s, but it's more the end of a season of my life. And every year is the end of a certain season, but I feel like entering my 30s should look a little different and should be a bit more centered than what my 20s were. So I feel like a lot has changed in my last year. I feel like my mindset has shifted. I feel like my routines have shifted. I feel like I, as a person, have started entering a new phase in my life. And I feel like I can no longer sit in avoidance, sit in running or anything. So I've been putting in the work to have better routines or be less avoidant. If I know I overspent, I look at my account. If I know I'm not really doing the emotional work, I go ahead and hit up a therapist. I'm making sure that what I need to do to get me to this next phase of life, basically the groundwork, I'm making sure that I'm doing the groundwork for the next phase of my life. So recently I turned this corner in my life where bills, my emotional well-being, my health, my routines, they all matter more. I can't be avoidant of certain things anymore, and that's a big part of me that I had to actually face in therapy, where I was constantly kind of hiding behind things that may have happened and not realizing I'm no longer there or should no longer be there emotionally, but it just felt comfortable being there. So I had to realize that I was doing that in a lot of aspects of my life. So I had to really do a bit of inner work to really figure out what needed to make that shift. So I had to look and see, okay, I need to change my relationships, if not change the people I'm in relationships with. I need to do my inner work. I need to take better care of my health. I need to stop basically giving into what felt good. I had to kind of like let go of a lot of habits that I had that made me feel comfortable in doing certain things, but wasn't beneficial to me in the long run. And I don't want to continue being too vague, and I don't want to get into my business either, because this is still the internet. But basically what I wanted to focus on was, I didn't want to compromise the parts that still felt like me. I felt like being grounded made me too serious at one point. In a very young framed mind, I felt like being grounded, or at least taking certain aspects of my life serious, made me less interesting. And I feel like within myself, I am a very vibrant and colorful person. Don't judge the black right now. I just came from work. I'm really low-key at work, but I feel like internally I'm a very vibrant person. I feel like I'm a very creative person, and I felt like if I got too serious about certain aspects of my life, it wouldn't leave enough space for the creative side of me to survive. Because I felt like, oh, well, me avoiding looking at my bank account would allow me to go and buy a whole pottery set to do at home, or a whole new paint set to paint color by numbers by colors, or whatever else popped into my mind that week to do for myself. And then I felt like, okay, if I took a hard look at my finances, I would have to realize, okay, I should be saving more, which meant that all those things that I was throwing money away on had to go away. Or, oh, I should be spending more money on certain bills. I should be paying ahead my bills instead of just paying them month to month, living month to month. I needed to take more responsibility and accountability. And I didn't realize that both of those things could hold space for a very long time. And it's one thing to understand it mentally, and it's another thing to enact it. And I think that's the part that I was missing for a very long time, the action behind my words. Because I feel like a lot of times I was a very intelligent person, meaning I can understand a thing and break it down to you, but that doesn't mean that I'm going to live by it. And I think that's the inauthentic part of this whole thing, or maybe the part that I was missing. Because also I caught myself trying to be like big sis to people, low key, where I was kind of like imparting wisdom and doing these things, and then looking in the mirror and realize I'm not doing the work. I'm over here imparting like nuggets of wisdom, and everybody's eating it up like, ooh, wow, I never thought of things that way. And I'm like, yeah, like, you know, take this advice, do this and do that. And then I'm going home and living the exact same life that they're living, but I imparted wisdom that I already had and just not using. And those things didn't make sense to me. So this, let's call it a journal entry, is really just about me verbalizing my intent to be better. There are certain things like long-term goals that I'm looking forward to achieving. I would like to own my own property one day. I would like to always have a certain amount in my savings so that I'm never worrying about what tomorrow brings. And those feel like such tall orders in this day and age. But I feel like if I put my mind to it, it is so doable, especially because I have if I don't have the knowledge myself, the resources to at least enact some type of plan and start taking baby steps. And I'm trying not to, you know, frame this all over the place, because this is also supposed to help me. But I want to verbalize what living in reality feels like. So for me, personally, if I'm procrastinating, I have to say that. I have to be honest with myself. If I'm overspending, I have to look at the account. I can't overspend and then hope I don't overdraft, or hope God got me. It's not working anymore. If I need to rest, I need to allow myself to rest. Again, growing up in a Caribbean home, it's very like go, 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 do. There's something to always get done. But it's not the most beneficial in this day and age for me to constantly be living in this momentum of, oh, I need to do this, I need to do that, I need to, right, if I'm not washing the dishes, I should be sweeping the floor. If I'm not sweeping the floor, then I should be doing some squats on the floor. Like, you know, it's okay to rest in a moment. It's okay to allow your body to recuperate from doing the 11 to 12 tasks you had beforehand, and then being prepared to do the next 10 to 11 the next day, or whatever, however you shape it. Another way of living in reality is also showing up for myself. And I think that this is a great example. Coming home, sitting down, knowing that I'm tired and would rather change my clothes and relax and watch TV and just like zone out and not use much of my brain energy. It's here doing this journal entry for myself. It's me knowing that there is another day and I'm going to need certain tools to basically make it through that next day. I may be good now and then I may be horrible later. And I want to give myself the opportunity to still have the tools to basically navigate those moments, or something to look back on and just, you know, bring me out of a funk. I don't know. But this is a great example of me still showing up for myself. I think if I had to simplify things of what the theme of this video really is for me, is me coming to realization that adulthood was never going to look like the movies for me. Adulthood is routine, it's discipline, it's showing up for yourself, like we just said. It's really just doing what you have to do to get the outcome you want. And again, it's one of those things where you may know it mentally, but you're not enacting it. And so recently, I don't know if it's because I finally feel like I have the space to do these things, but I have been really showing up for myself lately. I have been really committing to my routines, my exercise routine, my journaling, my reading 10 pages a day, whatever I have set for myself. I've actually, within these last couple months, been really just enacting it. And outside of just adulting and making sure like life isn't really taking over, or the adulthood of life isn't taking over, there is still a sense of creativity that I want to hone. Like, there was a time where I was running my own business, and I had done so for a couple of years, and it came to a point where I had to make a choice between advancing myself education wise or pouring more resources into a business that was just breaking even. And as we all know, before businesses are able to actually make you money, you have to pour a lot and invest a lot of time, money, energy, resources into the startup of that business. And so I felt like I was still in the beginning stages, and I had to make a choice between school and the business. And I ended up choosing school. Do I regret that decision at this moment? No. Because if I ever choose to go back and pursue the business I was pursuing before, I now have the resources to properly pour into doing so. I say all that to say is I now have the space to explore those things, to explore even new ideas. I don't have to return to the same idea I was doing before. I could do new ideas. I'm always thinking of different things to kind of branch out and do. Maybe something in my wheelhouse of what I do for work, or maybe something new and more creative. Something like a third space, I don't know. But throughout everything else, I also want to kind of stress stability. So making sure that I'm not going full force, which I tend to do, which is getting an idea, being really interested in something, and then like pushing ahead. Like tennis. I started tennis as an outlet for myself. And before the first class, I had tennis shoes, tennis skirts, tennis dresses, tennis balls, and a racket, not even knowing if I needed any of those things. Now I'm at a point where I'm needing certain things that I bought, and luckily I have them. But I tend to do full force ahead and just, you know, pouring all the money and resources without knowing if it's something I'm going to stick with. So I need to strike a balance and keep myself stable in exploring my creative side still. Another thing that I've been also experiencing are like late 20s growing pains. And I know pretty much this long ass rant is pretty much just about late 20s growing pains, but it's specifically the outgrowing things. Back in January, I had like conversations with friends, conversations with family, conversations with acquaintances, where I was explaining basically like where I was and the things that I outgrew of our friendships. And I gave space to make sure that they can tell me if they were experiencing the same things as I was. But it's really kind of been almost a theme for this year where I've been just really making sure like the relationships that I have with family and friends are aligning with where I'm going in life. The relationships at work align as well. I don't want to sit here and say I've outgrown anybody, because I don't feel like that's really the season. But I feel like I've outgrown lack of boundaries, and I've outgrown like certain relationships, and new ones had to pretty much blossom from it. So that was the most uncomfortable part of this like blooming stage I'm in. But I still think it's going to be one of the most rewarding things for me in the end. And better yet, the one thing that was really hard to let go of was outgrowing versions of yourself. Because in my mind, I thought outgrowing myself meant, oh, well, one day I'll just stop liking something, or one day I'll just, you know, never pick up tennis again. I don't know. But it's sometimes really a mental thing and then emotion thing, which is I'm able to see like, I come home every day and I eat 3 pieces of candy. Not saying I do, but I come home every day and I eat 3 pieces of candy, and I know I'm prone to cavities, but every day I come home and I eat 3 pieces of candy. I have to make the conscious decision to choose my health and the health of my teeth over my indulgence in 3 pieces of candy. So every day I have to come home and just not eat those 3 pieces of candy, or throw out my candy jar, or whatever I need to do to get myself on the right track of taking care of myself. that's kind of the hard part, because I am such a person that gives into my indulgences. I love luxury. I love treating myself to nice things and nice food and nice experiences, that sometimes if it comes at a detriment to myself, I was doing it. So that's really been the hardest growing pain to kind of get through, denying myself things for the betterment of myself. Because either way, in my head, it's like the betterment, like, oh, indulging myself was a good thing, but then like going without the indulgence to then better myself in a different way is still a good thing. So for a while, it was kind of like this weird seesaw going back and forth in my head, where I was kind of like, okay, but I'm just a girl and I need a treat. But then I'm just a girl, I need a treat, turned into, wow, I just paid $500 at the dentist, so what am I really doing? So all in all, it's messy, but it's worth it. It's just to encapsulate everything. As I finish out my 20s, I want intention and clarity. From me, from the people around me, from the people I talk to for only once and move on from, anybody who I'm holding experiences with. Though I know I can't control all of those experiences, I would like to just live a well-balanced life. And I feel like if I just put in enough work, that's very achievable, especially for this new year. I've been doing the work for this last year, but shifting into 2026, it is definitely doable. I feel it in my bones that it's definitely doable. So all in all, intentions, clarity, living in reality, and living without dimming the parts that make me me. Whether it's creativity, whether it's my precision in how I execute things, whatever it is, however I show up for myself and others, making sure that I'm showing up authentically for myself as well as those around me, and vice versa. And that's all I could really ask for at this point. So at this time, I think I'm probably going to post this, but if you're in your late 20s, or if you're experiencing any of these growing pains or blooming phases or whatever you want to call it, and I hope basically some of this resonated with you, because I feel like I just basically ranted for like 30 minutes, but I hope that some parts of these reach other people who are going through this, and yeah, if it resonated with you, congrats, and I hope we continue to resonate with each other, because I'm probably going to keep doing these journal entries because I feel like it's so cleansing for me. But anyways, thank you for watching and ultimately growing with me, and until I decide to post another one of these again.